When it comes to combat, and especially armed combat, everybody wants to get as much of an edge as possible. That can come in a variety of ways. Genetics are one thing. Some people just naturally have a faster reaction time or better potential for building strength, and some are taller and have thereby more reach and more mass, etc. But of course, it also comes in the form of technology. It could be something as simple as a better weapon made of higher quality material, or in case of Cyberpunk, it could be modifications to your body. There are a lot of things that come to mind that would be a significant advantage, like natural body armor, of course, enhancing your ability to absorb impact and resist damage, and move faster, be stronger, this and that and the other. Sadly, real-life cyberware is still in its infancy, but you can always go the Dark Souls route of self-enhancement by adding rings. And Thorum's got you covered, the sponsor of this video. There's a lot of cool, unique stuff there. I mean, how many people wear a ring made of dinosaur bone, or meteoric iron, or fire opal? If you like it less fancy, more minimalist, there are plenty of options too, like this one right here, the Osiris. I'd wager Thorum's got a style for just about any taste, and they're remarkably well made, and handmade in a small shop too. It's always great to support small business owners. So I highly recommend them, really like them, love wearing mine, and check them out. Links down below. There is one particular implant that would make a huge difference to a fighter, which is the Sandevastan that you see in both Cyberpunk 2077 and Edgerunners, which, by the way, if you haven't seen yet, I would highly recommend. With the exception, maybe not the last episode. A bit of a tangent, but I'll get right back to the main topic. If you've read Stephen King's Dark Tower, at the end, he gives you a warning, basically, that you might not want to continue reading because you may hate the ending. It's just how it played out in his head, but you may not like it, and he gives you a chance to back out of it. Of course, that makes you even more curious. How bad is it really? The last episode of Edgerunners is that kind of deal. It could use a disclaimer of, hey, you may not want to continue with this because if you're attached to the characters, you may not like what happens to them. Either way, great show and worth a watch. So the Sandevastan is a spinal implant that improves your reaction time, nominally, but really in effect turns you into a speedster, the way it's shown in both the game and the show. Which is a little bit strange. That wouldn't really quite happen that way. Enhanced reaction time, of course, would make you move faster relative to somebody else, an outside observer, but it wouldn't turn you into the Flash. The way it's shown there, like, it seems the outside world basically is standing still and their speed is cranked up so much that they can perform multiple actions in the same time that it takes a regular unenhanced person to perform one action. For that to happen, you would need much more extensive modifications. You would need all your limbs replaced as well with, artificial muscles that contract faster and harder and give you more explosive strength. Obviously, you can improve how fast you move with training. A well-trained, physically fit martial artist will be able to physically move their arm faster than an untrained person. Also because they know how to do it in a way that eliminates unnecessary extra movement. Their movements are more efficient, basically. So as opposed to a regular person who might throw a punch by cranking back and then not going the most direct path from A to B, a trained martial artist may be able to just go directly, eliminate unnecessary movements and throw a punch in a much faster way. I'm not that fast, but some martial artists are incredibly fast with their jabs. And you can also improve your reaction time with training, but it's a lot more limited. You can't make as much improvement as you can in physical strength and speed and all that. Now, extremely sophisticated high-tech cyberware could conceivably turn you into sort of a speedster if you had a brain implant as well that allows you to process a larger volume of data. Because don't forget, as you move faster, and you need to coordinate movements at a much higher speed, which means more data is sent back and forth between your muscles and your neurons, etc. So your brain would need to be able to process that increased data without being overwhelmed by all the input and essentially going ADHD in overdrive. But if that's possible, and if your limbs can be enhanced to, again, contract faster, etc., you would overall move faster. If you haven't seen my video about just how overpowered super speed is, it's linked down below. I covered all of that. So let's talk about just enhanced reaction time in and of itself. So basically the way it is for David at the start of Edgerunners when he gets just a Sendevistan. It's his only implant. He doesn't have any other augmentations. So how much would that help someone? Quite a lot, really, assuming that you're already a trained fighter. Because reaction time is a big limiting factor. Knowing how to respond to an attack or how to follow up to an attack of your own that has been defended, that takes a lot of processing. And that's what I've found in sword sparring quite often. There is a bit of a lag, from you perceiving the motion of an opponent to processing what the appropriate response is to performing that action. There's just this little bit of lag is what can sometimes get you into trouble, particularly when it comes to feints. So imagine you and I are sword fighting and you have to decide where to defend. So watch me, see what's going on, and then imagine you're defending. Did you defend the right side? Okay, let's try that again. And now imagine you perceive me as moving at half the speed. You can't actually move twice as fast, but you process things twice as fast, and your reaction time is half of what it normally is. So it looks like this. Now you have a much better chance to decide where the attack is actually coming from. For one, you're going to notice the attack coming in earlier, because depending on the guard that I'm in, it may take you a moment to realize that an attack is being launched. Particularly anything that comes directly toward your eyes is not as easy to see. If it's slowed down to 50%, it is a lot easier for you to see in time and respond to. And the defensive action is pretty much always quicker than the attack itself, because it's as simple as this, If I want to threaten you with a thrust, I have to step forward, because generally we're going to be fighting at a distance where we can't hit each other yet. So I have to take a step forward, lunge forward, and extend my arm. All you have to do, basically, depending on your guard position, is this perhaps. Or if you're in a low guard, this. Doesn't take all that long. You just need to swipe it aside. So this is a pretty fast movement to do. If you see it coming early, you can start firing that movement early as well. To you, your own body movements are going to seem frustratingly slow because they are not operating at twice the speed. So you're perceiving your movement to be really slow and sluggish, but it still allows you to respond because, as said, the defensive action is typically faster than the attack, especially when it comes to cuts. So what I did before was feint high and then turn this into an undercut, right? So the defense against this cut, if you did that to me, would be something like this, either raising up like this or like that, and then it's turned into an undercut to the opposite side. So if I prepare to defend like this, and then I see it comes from the other side, all I need to do is pull it here. So it's this is really fast if you have to do this. And if you perceive everything as going more slowly, then you don't even have to go here because you already see, okay, it's actually being pulled over there, so you can wait until the last moment. If you don't have this reaction time delay, this lag, then you don't need to respond too quickly by raising up before it's even close to you. You can wait until it's almost there, and then you can start your defensive action. So in that case, you already see that before you're even halfway there, you will see that the attack is actually being pulled over to your other side, so then you don't even have to do too much. This wouldn't always save you. There are situations in armed combat where you're being put in a disadvantaged position where even reacting faster is not really going to help you. Like, for example, if your opponent already has won the bind on your blade, so it has trapped your blade in such a way that they keep pushing it to the side as the thrust comes in, and you're not able to dislodge it in time. Again, increased reaction time would help with that because you can already tell what's going on and you can sooner decide to disengage and overbind and turn it around on them. But there are some situations where your blade is trapped and you would just see the opponent's blade coming at you in slow motion without being able to do anything about it. Same with being shot at, particularly a large, slower moving projectile like a 45 ACP. At 50% speed, you might be able to see coming, but there's no way your body would move in time, so you would just see the bullet come toward you and have just enough time to be like, oh crap. And I think enhanced processing and reaction time would actually help you more in armed combat than it would in unarmed. Because the problem is in unarmed, let's say boxing, for example, somebody who is really fast with their jab is going to throw it so quickly that even with the enhanced reaction time, it may be difficult for you to respond in time, which is why quite often defenses in boxing and other unarmed martial arts are more a matter of making yourself harder to hit, because it's pretty damn difficult to see a jab. And basically, by the time the jab is moving, it's already too late. If they're really fast, you're not really going to have enough time to defend against it. So you have to go by tells. If you see the shoulder moving, if they are not as good at throwing a punch without an anticipatory movement, that you can see. Otherwise, you're just going to have to anticipate where it's coming. You have to imagine at which time they're most likely going to throw something, and then you perform some sort of evasive action that makes you overall harder to hit. Like you're just throwing something out there, so to speak. And of course, in unarmed fighting, you can afford to take a hit. In fact, multiple. It depends. You wouldn't really want to take a shot from a Mike Tyson at his prime, obviously, but generally you can take much more in unarmed fighting than you can in unarmored sword fighting. Again, if you're fighting in full armor, yes, you can take some hits, no doubt about it. But unarmored fighting with any kind of blade, really, be it knife, dagger, sword, polearm, whatever, you can't afford to take a single hit unless it's something very superficial, like they thrust at you and you just barely manage to evade it and it just slices you on the way past you. Okay, that's fine, but most attacks you really cannot afford to take. So this enhanced reaction time would make a huge difference for survivability. It would probably come at the cost of increased injury risk, because you would try to contract your muscles as hard and fast as you can. You would try to just move as fast as humanly possible to intercept that attack, and you might do so in a reckless way. Particularly if you end up overextending your wrist, you might injure your tendons, you might be more sore afterwards, things like that. So there would definitely be certain risk, increased risk, but that beats being stabbed to death or decapitated or who knows what, right? So still useful. Anyway, hope you found this interesting and entertaining. Thanks for watching and have a good one, folks.